Hello again. We move on about a week almost since we last had a video from Smle's camp, as it were. A couple of things I forgot. One was I had a chain of sprockets fitted and also a new gear lever rubber. Now Lee did both all at the same time as the other stuff, but I did attempt to put one of those on myself, but it was very plasticky really. This one feels better. But anyway, that one's gone on nice. Even though I put lube on the one I tried to put on, it's still split towards the end of getting it on. The chain was a little iffy. I couldn't get any DID X-ring chain for this, which was a bit of a surprise, to be honest. I always go for one of them. I've had good service when I've had those on all sorts of bikes, whether they're low powered or high powered. But anyway, the one that's on looks better. The sprockets weren't too bad, but whilst you're at it, of course on this it means taking off the crankcase cover, which means an oil, and while you're at it a filter change. Why not? It's, what, I don't know, 10, 12 quid's worth, maybe a bit more than that, maybe 20 quid's worth. Bang up to date now. I only just got back from work last night, about 2 days after I'd done the messing around, got her going again. I tried to start her to go to work and she wouldn't even try. I thought, well, she's only been running for half an hour, 40 minutes. A tick over mostly, so I don't expect the battery to be fully charged. So I got the little Lextech booster out and started her up, put the side panel back on, and off I went to work. I took the power pack with me, but I didn't need it on the night. She fired up nicely and I come back home. Because of the time of year, it's quite light, even late evening really, and I managed to get home with mostly side lights and a little bit of headlight, but not a lot. The next day, which was yesterday, I come to start her again, nothing. Okay, put the booster pack on, no problem. But well, she's only done 30 miles and I don't expect it to charge up that quickly. Got her going, put the side panel back on, and rode about 10 miles on the way. I stopped off at the garage for some petrol. Guess what, people? She wouldn't start. Now there's a problem when you've only got one key. You need your key, if you've seen the last video, to take the side panel off, which I did. Put the booster on, fired up. Took the booster off, as you're supposed to, more or less straight away. I think it says within 30 seconds, because you don't want to damage the booster. I put the side panel back on. Of course, that means taking the key out of the ignition to put the side panel back on. And when I come to put it back in the ignition and start, nothing. So I had to leave the side panel off. And then when I got to work, I thought, well, I think we're going to have some fun. I can't complain really. Come 8 hours later, nothing. I had to do the same. Leave the side panel off, put the booster on, fire it up, take the booster off, and I rode home. But on the way back home, I was about 2 miles, 3 miles from home, and some strange things were starting to happen. For a start, I had got the side lights on, and the clock lights disappeared. That was a bit odd, I thought. Thought perhaps I'd blown a fuse, whatever, don't know. The light was still on, the side light was still on. And then not far from home the clock started to do some weird things, flicking and all sorts. There was a little bit of jerkiness. I won't say stuttering, but there's a bit of jerkiness. Anyway, I got back and it's still running. Put the battery on and it was doing weird stuff, so let's hope I ain't done any more damage. But my plan, is that the right word? No, not really. My plan of really not doing anything to the bikes, and I should do, I know I should disconnect the battery. I've never really done that, largely because I've never had power in the garage and it's always a bit of a faff. It's idle really, I know, but twice now it seems that I've not got away with it in nearly 30 years. Okay, there's been a bit of a gap, but overall 30 years of riding bikes. Now the best or worst was me Kawasaki ZX7R. I managed to get that on a jump start. I got it going, I took it for a decent ride. Got to work. Switched off as soon as I got to work, switched it back on, absolutely nothing. So I had to get my sister to get to QB's to get a battery and bring a battery charger into work, and I could actually put it on when I was at work. That was a long time ago though, that was what, 2000 and... no, I tell a lie, it was 1998. That was goodbye. Anyway, so today I'm going to have a look at the battery that's on, because silly me, even though it was staring me in the face, it isn't a sealed battery. Now most lead acid sealed batteries don't come sealed, do they? They come with that rubber bung that once it's in sort of stays in. This is a normal bog standard lead acid battery with the little caps. Even though I staring me in the face. Now, I did look yesterday, and I seem to think, although I couldn't quite see because it's quite hard to see, this cell here looked quite low on acid. So, you know, it is a 3-year-old battery. I haven't particularly looked after it that well over, well, 3 winters really, although except the first winter I did start this up about every week or two and leave it running for quite a while, and I didn't have any problems that year at all. I think the next year it just started, but I didn't start it up so much. So just for the hell of it, we're going to see what's left in this battery. We're going to put the meter on it, then it's shopping for a new battery and probably a new charger. Right, let's see what's left in this battery. Although it doesn't really show us a underload test, just the volts. 12.37 volts. That ain't too bad, but of course obviously something's not right, is it? So we'll get this off. Now it should be easy. Obviously the 2 main leads. There's a bolt there, and then this front piece comes away with all these on. It'd have been nice if the Himalayan was like that. It's not. There's a bit of a spaghetti job going on, and then it should be a case of tip it out and up that way, at a guess. Right folks, negative lead first. If I can get the negative on with that little tab there. Just not tight though. Yeah, not very tight anyway, which I suppose they shouldn't be, being batteries, just tight enough. Himalayan screwdriver come to good use. This is Webley Mark 1's screwdriver, so try not to touch the frame, although it's got a good plastic coating, except though through use in and out, taking the cover off several times, there are some marks, probably stone chips in the frame. I'll touch them up. But there we go. Move that one out of the way. Now this one's more awkward because the frame's more above it. Oh, we're alright. It'll take our time to do it. We'll only turn it a few turns at a time, but is that loose enough? Yeah. Do it with my finger now. There we are. Now in theory there's just 2 bolts to go, this one and this one. This one's got an extra lead on it, a small black lead on it as well. This one hasn't got anything. Should be okay, just be careful with the spanner, with the paintwork. And just get it on to start it. Yeah, just get it on. Just be very careful of the frame. And this should just swing away nicely. Yes, very nice. No leaks, but the battery is well down on acid. I know the battery isn't quite level folks, but let me just point this out to you. What can happen in 4 or 5 months, I suppose. The level of the acid is there on that cell, there on that one, is there on that one, it's down here on this one, it's up there on that one, and it's there. That's the one I could see yesterday. After a little bit of a shopping trip to QB's, we've got a new battery charger. Let's hope it's better than the initials suggest. It's supposed to be a fancy one. And of course the battery itself. YB14LA2. Apparently there's not a sealed equivalent. I ain't done any research myself, but there you go. Now, with the situation at the moment, and has been for nearly 2 months, a lot of people have been going to the local shops for, well, shopping in general really. And I have checked Halford's website, and these are £50 at Halford's, and at your local bike shop these are 55, so why not support your local bike shop for the want of a fiver? Nothing overly special of course, just a bog standard lead acid battery. Of course you get the new breather pipe and nuts and bolts for the connections, and he filled up the acid for me whilst I was there, which was handy. Now, before we give it a bit of a top-up charge and try out the new charger, let's see what's in it at the moment. Acid's only been in about, I don't know, half an hour. 12.5 full. Right then, this cost me about 45 quid, and I bought it because the one I've got two. I've got a really old 10 amp job that's got a low and high charge, which doesn't sound very good when you plug it in anymore. I've got a newer one which is still very much old fashioned, because that's just 6 amp though. The last battery I charged up, you could do that for a fast charge, 6 amp, 1 hour, but there's no alteration with that charger, so I thought, well, let's have a couple, so we've got a choice now. So these new fancy smart chargers, you're bound to know more about it than I do. So we've got 2000 milliamp max, presumably, manual rejuvenation, soft start, bulk charging, absorption charging. Does that mean it flattens the battery, flattens it completely first and starts again? I don't know. Float mode, I don't know, can you go sailing on it? Anyway, what is nice though, because I have been thinking about changing to gel type batteries, mainly for the less weight, but whatever. It will also do, obviously, your lead acid types, AGM, gel batteries, maintenance free, conventional and calcium. Right, so the charger itself, you got a lead so you can leave it on your battery, obviously your lead to connect to the battery from the charger, some instructions. Right then, it's fairly self-explanatory, there's nothing too different, there's a couple of things. This is a new sort of bullet type connector to connect your different wires and things to, and that's very stiff. Oh, that is very stiff indeed. Obviously there's an array of lights, I won't go through all that there, we'll be on it all day no doubt, but it should be self-explanatory, although it is rather small, although I am getting older. There's a switch here for the different types of batteries. It's already in the position I want. To the right for the lead acid, left is gel. It's a bit chunky for a motorbike battery. You can get it on, but a bit chunky. Probably could do with splitting the wire a bit there, a bit more, the insulation, but yeah, we've got it on. Right, now we plug it in and see what happens. There's no fault. The red light on at the top is just that it's AC power connected. If it was flashing, there would be an error such as a short circuit or the wrong polarity. So we'll leave that for a while and see how we get on and keep an eye on it. Two more things I've done. One is to move the brake lever down slightly, just very slightly. Early R1s, I don't know about the newer ones, but the early R1s had a very much up and over feel to get to the levers, and it hurt because it was really pulling on your wrist there with the excessive angle, if you like. This isn't that bad, but it's certainly easier to just stick your fingers forward and drop onto the lever instead of just sort of going up and over like that. The other thing I've done, which I've been meaning to do, and I might as well have done it before when I did it in the last video, but instead of taping the excess of the strap of the watch on the handlebar up, I've done what I've done on Johnny and strapped it to the master cylinder. However, this strap must be a little bit either worn or bigger than the last one, so I've put a bit of tape balled up just to take the excess up, and it's nice and cushioned on there. Now here's something I wasn't going to update you on for at least 500 miles till I've got a good feel and experience of, but straight away within a couple of miles I can tell you that these shocks are a big improvement, to be honest. Again, the original shocks are not that bad, but these are so much better. You've got a more positive feel, you've certainly got more damping, and to that effect I may knock the damping off a little bit. I thought I was a bit low on the damping initially, but first ride to work and I thought, blimey, that's some improvement. You've got so much more better positive feel now with what's going on. Not that you're going 3 million mile an hour on one of these, of course. They look fast, but they aren't. I mean, Hitchcock's base engine on their one they've done all their bits to, before they did all the work to it, was putting out 19 brake horsepower at the back wheel. Now Royal Enfield, and presumably this is at the crank, say 29. But what I have, well, read more than anything, and my own experience, is that these engines vary so much on the brake horsepower. Not that you've got a lot. In some ways it's like riding a torquey two-stroke, where yes, you have got quite a bit of torque, but you have to keep the momentum up in the corners because you haven't got that power to just accelerate away. I may do it in a bit actually. I'm going to knock the damping down 1 notch. I thought it would be about right, or maybe even have to be up to a bit, but I'm going to knock it down 1 notch, I think, and see from there. But yeah, good if you got a couple of £100 to spare, or just, well, probably a couple of £100 with the postage, I suppose. I think these was £1.80 a pair. A good improvement. We've got 13.45 volts on the new battery. I'm just going to degrease the connections. And as they say, refitting is the reversal of what happened before. There we go. Nice and clean, that one. I have cleaned the contacts up a bit as well. Over, we've got 14.5 volts. That's 2000 RPM, 14.6. And last but not least, probably the most awkward, the breather pipe. And hopefully, for quite a while now, we can put this on once and for all. Hooray!